Hello, and welcome to another episode of Boundless Body Radio. I'm your host, Casey Ruff, and today we have another amazing guest to reintroduce you now. Kristina Cook is a returning guest on our show. Be sure to check out her first appearance on episode 837 of Boundless Body Radio. Kristina Cook is a wife and mom of two from Nova Scotia, Canada, whose amazing 11-year-old daughter struggled with ADHD, OCD, and treatment resistant bipolar disorder for 6 years until she started looking outside the conventional medical and mental health system for answers. This quest led her to MAHA Moms, RFK Jr., Dr. Casey Means, Dr. Chris Palmer, and ultimately conversations about health, food, and politics, topics she never expected to find herself concerned about until now. In understanding the reasons why we are all so sick, she was able to put her daughter's bipolar disorder into remission and have her off of all medications within 6 weeks. Think about that. That's crazy, which turned her entire family's health and lives around in the process. Kristina lives in Nova Scotia with her husband, Ryan, her kids, Noah and Genevieve, and their two dogs, where they're living an entirely new life. She is raising awareness in her online community for safe, clean, whole foods and metabolic therapies, and helping others learn how to ditch a standard Canadian diet and adopt a whole food ketogenic diet. You can find them on social media on the platforms they created called Better Human Project, which was come up by with which name was come up with by Genevieve, who is our very special guest joining us today, surprising us. Welcome both ladies to Boundless Body Radio.
Thanks for having us, Casey. I'm excited to be back. And this one's excited to make her debut.
Yay!
Yeah,
Hello,
I'm just
Genevieve.
gonna be on for a little bit.
That
Just a
is
little bit.
totally fine with us. I'm sure there's a lot more fun things that you can be
I
doing
can't
than
stay still.
chatting with me. That's okay. That's okay. It
She's
is a
got she's
Friday.
got more fun things to do than this.
Yeah, exactly. That's okay. We really appreciate you joining us. And I guess I'll ask you a few questions first, since you'll be here just for a little while. But can you tell us a little bit about your story?
When I was 5, on like the second day of school, I ran off. I I absolutely ran away from the school, and the teachers had to find me. They found me on the biggest hill. That's where the new school is now, where I'm at now. And so my mom took me to the doctors, and what did he say now?
That was kind of the beginning of where these behaviors really went extra erratic on us, was when she started school and she started taking this fight or flight response to all of the different transitions. We were trying everything we possibly could to help her navigate those challenges, and nothing was working. And she just kept getting more frustrated, more aggressive, and she was starting to really detach from all of the things around her. So we were like, okay, I'm trying my best here. Like, something's got to give. So we started to raise some concerns with our doctor, and we started down that road of, okay, what's going on with her? And it wasn't long before we had started medications and different therapies, and she continued to progress deeper into all different sorts of diagnoses and all different sorts of symptoms. And ultimately, she landed with diagnosis of ADHD and OCD and anxiety and depression. And she was having suicidal thoughts. And then these hallucinations were starting during her manic episodes towards the end. And I was like, this is absolutely insane. This can't be her story. And it was a long 6 years, wasn't it, babes?
Mhm.
It was a long 6 years, but we,
I struggle making friends. Now that I'm better, people still see me as the same Genevieve.
Mm,
Makes it harder to find friends.
yeah.
we're
Do you
working on that.
remember?
Mm.
Yeah, for sure. Do you remember that first day when you decided to run away from school? Do you remember like making that choice, or was it almost like something you felt like you had to do?
Had to do.
Yeah. Do you remember what it felt like to have some of the medications? Did they make anything a little bit better? Did they make you tired?
Worked for a little bit, then stopped. Then
Didn't
we
stop.
then we progressed, and they still kept working for just a tiny bit, and then they stopped
Wow.
working.
Wow. Okay. And I wanted to ask you a little bit about your experience that we learned about when you spent, I believe it was several weeks in some type of an
CIS?
institution.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was that like?
So it was a 16-week program at the Children's Hospital here in Nova Scotia.
16. Oh,
16 weeks she was there for the bulk of the week, and then she was home with us on the weekends. And it was an intensive service program where she was there with, I think, 8 other children. So it was a small group of children, but they worked with them on, of course, all of the different interrelationship things and try to work with them on managing their behaviors and understanding their feelings and all of those things that we were also doing at home. And we were doing parent portions of the program where they're essentially teaching us the same kinds of strategies to help her at home, which were all of the same things we were already doing. So it was just like a refresher on all the things we're doing that weren't working. And it was so frustrating for us.
And while I was there, I was the only girl. There was day kids, night kids. I was one of the night kids. Only girl. I was the only one that was the most aggressive towards the others. I was often put in the secure room where I chewed the walls. And it really hurt because they had held me back and hold my head with their chin. Or someone else had to come and hold my head back so I wouldn't headbutt them. Since I did that to my mom before.
Yeah.
So it was pretty hard.
That sounds very scary.
Yeah, they're all things that we're just recently starting to really talk about.
I also broke my old door, massive dents in my wall. I had a lot of rough times. I tried running away a lot. Only made it to the fire hall, which is right beside us, until I heard my parents' terrified voices. Then my mind made up my mind to go back. So I came back.
Wow.
It's crazy to listen to her talk about these things because it seems like so long ago. It's just like this last year, we've literally been living on a ketone high of like, I can't believe what life has come to at this point so quickly. It's like, how was that normal for us? Like, that was our everyday, constantly trying to manage her behaviors and her moods. And it was exhausting for all of us. And now it's just not. And it was such it was such a simple change for me once I understood what was going on. It was just like, well, I'm unsubscribing from all of that. Let's do this. And
I heard my blood flowing through my veins and sometimes, and I still hear my heartbeat sometimes in my ears, which makes me think I'm going into a fight or flight state, but I'm not, and I can't, since that's what I usually know when it's coming, it's not doing that, and it's doing it still, but it's hard to tell if I'm having a manic episode or just my heart's racing from running.
That's the old PTSD we call from the bipolar. Right. It's like we have these normal situations in our daily life that of course cause these different stresses and these different trigger points that we've experienced over the years. And her body and her mind, and of course everything about her becomes scared that, okay, my body's doing the things it used to do. It's about to get bigger, but it's not getting bigger on her anymore. And helping her recognize that and understand that, and talking with her through that, she's getting a lot better at figuring these things out, and not it's just not the same life anymore. She's got such a better handle on all the things. Very
Amazing.
proud of her for doing the hard work.
Good for you, Genevieve. I have one more question about kind of the harder times before I ask you a few questions about the better times and everything turning around. But I remember from my childhood, if I ever did something, if I acted up and caused grief for my parents, not only would I feel bad for doing something bad, but then I'd feel like double bad because I could feel the stress that I was causing around me with my parents. Do you recall feeling that way as well?
I didn't notice it until like days after the episode.
Got it. Yeah, that must have been really hard. Okay, let's talk about the turnaround.
But I also forget some parts of episodes, so I can't really remember all of it.
Yeah, true. Let's talk about the good stuff.
It's cold. It's cold. Sorry.
Cold hand. Okay, so let's talk about the good thing. What do you remember about maybe your mom getting a little bit excited about changing the food. Did you notice that, she was maybe throwing some foods away and bringing some new foods, or was it just like you were just eating
We
whatever?
sold $1,500 worth of groceries.
Just threw them out.
Didn't you give them to your brother?
Yeah, gave some away, threw some out. I emptied this house.
And 3 days later, I ran into my parents' room. My parents thought something was wrong. My mom woke up feeling like she was deaf. I came in there saying, all the voices in my head are gone. What do I do?
Yeah, what do I do? She's like, what? Why am I so quiet? That ketogenic diet switched her whole body into some high-powered healing, and she got some relief pretty friggin' quick.
Wow. What about like getting rid of the medications? Could you notice a difference when you started to be able to like taper down or get off of the medications?
Yes,
You were
I
feeling
did.
more?
When I woke up in the morning for school, I was feeling great until I took my medications. Then I full on blown out. So I'm like, I'm done. I just stopped taking them.
I worked with our pharmacist to get her a lower dosage that we still had on file in hopes to taper her slowly and safely in anticipation of what could happen, right? I didn't go into it blindly. I was aware of, okay, we got to stay on top of this. So I worked with the pharmacist to get some lower doses. But after a couple of days of trying that, she was feeling so rotten. She's like, Mom, I just don't want to do this anymore. And I thought, what is the absolute worst that could happen? I've watched the system fail her. They're calling me at home to ask me what I do with her at home when these episodes are happening because the strategies they're using, they're at their wits' end and they're not getting any further ahead with her than I was. Why am I going to trust her to that system anyway? So I knew I'd be able to keep her safe at home, and we just stayed on top of her and watched her behaviors. We made sure we went for nice long walks. We were doing like cold plunges. We just did all of the other metabolic therapies in anticipation of what could happen. And she was very fortunate to not have any adverse side effects when we were able to taper that way.
Yeah. Yeah, that's amazing. It's great that you had that resource and somebody to talk to in case there was an issue. But I would feel the same way. Like, of course, you say you need to have a doctor to help you step down from these things, but like I would feel the same thing that you did. Like, well, what's going to get any worse than it is right now? If we can just take these off and I can monitor her and we can deal with the situation, I would think the same thing. Genevieve, after feeling like you're getting your life back a little bit, what's been some of your favorite highlights from the last year of things you've done or people you've met or whether it be school or vacations, like what have been some of your favorite things?
Well, I went on my first camping trip in July this year, and I went to see the Cabot Trail. I'm in my classroom full time. Grade 7 is feeling like it's going by in a breeze, almost done of term 1. And we went to like this canoe thing. Well, let me get a picture. Where we went mudsliding.
We're able to do all of the things now. Like we're doing all the things we couldn't do.
We're being shown a picture. Is that on the beach?
That is us.
In
We
mud.
went mudsliding in the Shubenacadie River.
Oh, wow.
We are literally covered in mud. We went out tile
That's amazing.
grassing, and then this was like part of the tour. It was the wildest experience.
Huge.
That's pretty
Yeah,
cool. I'm going to have to look that up. The photo was a little glossy, so it was a little bit hard to see that
yeah.
everybody's covered in
Yeah.
mud, but that looks like fun.
I'll send you a picture.
Please do. Please do. Wow. And do you
Yeah.
feel like it's like easier to socialize with people, make new friends, that kind of thing?
I'm still having trouble with the friends part, but I'm getting better at talking to people.
Good.
Because the kids still see me as gonna scream if they don't play with me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I only have very few friends.
Yeah.
But
I
those few
definitely.
friends that she does have, I mean, that's beautiful for her to finally have those connections that she started. She's still struggling in some areas because I mean, kids will be kids and they can be mean, and she's been through a lot and they've seen her go through a lot. So she's just about at that point in her life where she's gonna be able to switch schools and get into the high school here soon, and it'll be a whole different environment. And we're just
I still have 1 more year.
no, it'll go by so fast though.
It'll go by way fast. It feels different when you're your age, but trust us, it'll go way fast. You'll be up and driving and paying bills before you know it. Um,
Yeah.
so could you
When high
imagine?
speeds, I have to go up the road to
Okay,
get to my bus. I had to walk.
good. Could you imagine yourself doing something like this, like a year ago, like sitting down and having this type of a conversation and talking about your experiences? No.
No, without my mom. No.
Yeah.
No.
So what does it feel like now? I've heard you on my friend Natalie and Robin's podcast, the Keto Biography. You guys did a wonderful job, and I've seen you guys on Metabolic Mind, and here you are sitting with us. Like, how does it feel now? You have your social media channels, and you're trying to get this message out. How does it feel to know that you're really making a difference? You're helping a lot of people out there who are going through this.
Well, my mom was just under still in the three digits of followers on Metabolic. Like, what was it called?
On X. Yeah.
On X. Then when I sent her a video I made after I got home from school and she posted it, overnight 3,000 followers. And I think
Was
it's
that
still
the
rising.
Was that the video that I first found you guys to begin with? Was that the one where you were like at the ocean and you said something like, "Oh, how can my cells not love this?" Is a different one.
Actually, this is a different one. This was just it was on the 23rd of September because that was her 1 year anniversary of us finding Dr. Palmer at the Nutrition Roundtable. So that was her 1 year ketogenic diet anniversary. And she decided that she was going to she wanted me to post, I should say, a message to thank.
Um, Casey means, Callie means, Dr. Chris Palmer, and RFK. And all the other ones. Since I forget all their names.
Yeah, she wanted to thank them for basically saving her life because ultimately that's the chain of events that happened. One
I
press
was
conference.
breaking at the end because I was a little teary.
Yeah, but one press conference changed everything. It was a chain of events that came with a force to be reckoned with, and here we are.
Dr. Chris Palmer's built before you finished speaking.
Yep. I wasn't messing around. I wanted to help
Uh,
my little girl.
I
yeah, and I'm
came
just
running out of
curious.
my room saying, "What did he just say?" When he said bipolar was curable.
It was like full stop moment in our house. I really do think the world stopped when Chris Palmer was talking.
Dogs stop moving.
That is one of my
That's what
favorite
I
parts
felt
of the
like.
story, where you came out of your bedroom after being like, "Wait, what? What is
What?
this?"
It took me like 2 seconds to process it. I'm like, but it is running my room.
Yeah. She's like, sign me up, whatever that is, let's do it. I love it.
That's amazing. Wow, that's amazing. Genevieve, I don't want to keep you too much longer. You can stay as long as you like, of course, but is there anything else you would like us to know about either your story or about, how excited you are to live your life without having to deal with all the stuff you dealt with in the past?
Well, I'm I used to be way behind on all my schoolwork. Now I'm right on top of it, especially in my social studies, science, ELA, healthy living, which is a pretty hard part for me since we're in the food part. And I'm like,
Pretty hard to hear.
yeah. And so my mom's gonna try to talk to my teacher about it to see if she can come in.
Yeah, I've had an opportunity to speak to my son's psychology class at the high school about metabolic therapies and stuff, and she's hoping that I might be able to have an opportunity to speak to her class as well.
Wow.
And I used to be able to not participate in anything. I used to hide under a chair in music class because of one song
Wow.
that we did on Boomwhackers.
What are
You're a
those?
whole different kid.
It was like
And it's like, you said it was a boom whacker?
yeah, Boomwhackers.
What is a boom whacker?
Yeah, that's what I've never heard of that.
Like it goes like dun dun dun.
Kind of like a drum or something. I'll have to look it up. I
Yeah,
had no
but you
idea.
bang it in your hand or thigh. But they're in like all different notes. Like you can like piano, for instance.
Okay.
Older people like your mom and I, we're not in touch with this kind of thing, so we really rely on you to help teach us the new
This
vocabulary.
is the problem with the millennial generation.
Oh man. I'm
Uh,
telling you, she's gonna rule the world someday.
absolutely.
I think I'm
Genevieve,
pretty close.
I think you're pretty close. I do have one last question for you, and it's not the first time that I've asked you. I've gotten to talk to you before. We weren't recording, we were just kind of having a nice friendly chat. And I asked you this
Yeah.
question. We talked about it with your mom last time she was on, and I absolutely loved your answer. And it's kind of around the fact that now you're in this world where everybody around you gets to do all the things and they get to eat all the things and they have the cereal and the cinnamon rolls and all the delicious treats and birthday parties in school. And you are in a position now where if you have that, your brain is going to get sick again and it's going to be really hard. And so I asked you the question, do you feel sad or jealous that you don't get to eat those things anymore?
Nope. You know what I think whenever I see it? All I think is poison. And what do you think their mental illness is? And also, if I go to a birthday party, I'm grabbing cheesecakes. I'm taking cheesecakes from Hippie Chicks.
She's found some keto treats she likes. She knows she comes prepared.
Okay, you sound really good.
And don't tell my dad, but I'm making him a a pumpkin pie cheesecake.
That's very nice of you.
His birthday is right after Thanksgiving, so
Okay, perfect. Yeah, and at the time of this recording, well, to you it's just Thanksgiving. To us down here, it's Canadian Thanksgiving, but that's just
Yeah,
this weekend, correct?
yeah.
it
Awesome.
is.
Monday.
Awesome.
Yes, ma'am.
And like today, when I looked at like my teacher, she has like national stuff every day. And today, National Mental Health Day.
It is Mental Health Day today. You're right.
And
Wow.
I tried and I was like,
It's really strange living in a world that is functioning differently than you are.
Yeah.
oh
Yeah,
good.
in a way it feels kind of isolating, but it also
Yeah.
yeah, feels totally different. Well, she just stepped out, but Genevieve, thank you so very much for your story. I just like what
She's just letting the dogs out.
Just Uncle Matthew.
You just say, "Are you all done? You gonna sign off here, or what's happening, kiddo?"
Nothing.
All right, you go do that, and I'll finish talking to Casey.
thank you,
I can see.
Genevieve. Thank you so much for chatting. What
Okay.
do you what do you say? What do you say to that? I'm like gonna like start bawling. How do you
Like
just
I
sit there
love
and like
her.
listen to your daughter like just like blossoming in front of your face? It's incredible.
So this summer was it was beautiful because I got to spend more time with her because school was out. I got to actually watch her literally flourish. I took her with me everywhere, got to talk to all the people I'm talking to, and she got to tell her story to these people too. And it's such a beautiful thing to listen to her talk about it from this side of it now. Because when she was in the throes of it all, she didn't want to talk about it. We very much wanted to just like get through the day and hope that the next day might be better. But she's processing it now and she's talking about it very honestly and openly out loud. And I see I see the ripples from it. It's a beautiful thing to watch her at 12 years old recognize that her body was not chemically imbalanced, that it was dysfunctioning, and we were able to pinpoint those dysfunctions with nutrition and nature and the things that we forgot we really make us human. And I love listening to her talk about it with the same kind of passion that I obviously talk about it with. She's definitely my mini me running around talking about these things right now. She's listening and she's listening well. All of my family is. They make me so proud.
It's just yeah, I'm running out of like objectives to like be able to say how incredible it is. So do you think can you tell like when she expresses what that was like for her? Does she tend to kind of open up a little bit more and more every time? Like, do you feel like it's pretty therapeutic for her to remember those things?
Yeah, because up until I want to say probably early this summer, she was still very much living in her own ketone high and enjoying all of the things. And it was very rare that she would start opening up and talking about these things. And anytime she started, I wanted to make sure I gave her that like open, safe space, like just let it all out, like let's process this. And we're very much we're appreciating how far we've come and breaking down those things, letting her understand that those things that were happening to her and those things that were coming out of her were not really her. Though, like, I don't want her to ever identify with the diagnosis that she had either, because understanding that those symptoms were stemming from something that might not necessarily equate all these different diagnoses, right? It's like once you understand that all these symptoms might be coming from the exact same thing. It's like we're just checking boxes to come up with diagnoses. Let's get to that root cause. You weren't any of those things. You were just mitochondrial and metabolic dysfunction. You were not any of those diagnoses. And looking at it from that lens and helping her break down those rough times that she had is it's been a different perspective on those things have made it so much easier to process, I think. So
Yeah.
understanding it from a different lens. It real perspective is everything.
Yeah. And you said something interesting as she was bringing up like the heartbeat and wondering whether she was going to go manic again. And as you mentioned, like PTSD, like of course you would always think that would be just right around the corner if there was a slip up or something happened or what's going on. I remember all of this stuff for years before. That will take some time to kind of reverse out of.
Absolutely. She had some friends over here for her birthday and they were outside playing and she wanted to let them all see how loud she could shriek because they're singing and they're playing and stuff. And she let out this great big scream and my heart jumped into my throat because my body went back there. My husband looked at me, our eyes went right wide and we like both ran around the back side of the house. Like it's our reality of what life used to be creeps back in from time to time. And then it's just like, we're not there anymore. It's just like you have to like bring yourself back down. So if that's what my and my husband's reaction is to something like that was literally an innocent child's play in the backyard that triggered that kind of response, I can only begin to imagine how her body feels when she starts to have these things revving up inside. And I know like from my own experience, because like as you know, I've used these therapies to treat myself for my own OCD and my PTSD and anxiety and stuff. Like I've been dealing with the same kind of things. So that's been a blessing in itself, is that yes, she's my little spawn and she ended up with all these things that I have also dealt with too. But it's like I've also got the knowledge and the know-how and the understanding of it on a different level than she might not have gotten from someone else if I wasn't her mom. Thank goodness I'm her mom, right? It's like you go through these processes of being like, well, I am her mom, like maybe this is my fault, to like, no, I am her mom. I can help her do this. It's like I've been there. Like you go from mom guilt to like mama bear pretty quick.
So empowering. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
So I had some questions from our last episode, and I was wondering what it was like, first of all, to try the different combinations of medicines. What like you're given you see a doctor, you're given a medicine. In my opinion, that's probably like okay, good, like found something here, like we can take a step. This must be nice. And like, what was it like to be given a prescription to see it run its course? As Genevieve just told us, like it would work maybe a little bit for a while and then it wouldn't, and then you're given like another one or you're switched. So like what was that whole process like on the medication side?
It was a nightmare, to be honest, because it's like Russian roulette. Like you never know how your body's going to respond to these things. And I was aware of that going in from my own experience with different medications over the years. It's like now I'm looking at having to potentially put my child on something. That wasn't something that I took lightly, but I'm like, none of the things are working. Like I was trying all of the things. So you're going to your doctor and you're at your psychiatrist's office and you're talking these things through. And you're trusting that they're not trying to lead you astray. And I really don't feel that they were. I just feel like they, at this point, that they really didn't know any better. And I'm putting these things in her body and I'm watching her change. I'm watching the light go out in her eyes. I'm watching it's at one point when we had put her on Adderall, she got violent. That was the first night she tore her room apart, like apart. And I've seen the way these medications act in her body. I've seen them take her to aggressive. I've seen her take I've these depressive episodes afterwards. I've seen everything in between. And it's like, what are these things doing to our bodies? And I've seen it myself. I had been put on bupropion at one point in time, started taking non-epileptic seizures, could not pinpoint what was going on. I was fully coherent, my body would be in convulsions. And it would be happening when I was having episodes of panic or to be stress happening with dealing with the things here at our home. And I couldn't come back from it. It was terrifying and couldn't pinpoint it until I started doing some of my own research. And I found that this is a potential side effect. And I was like, well, I'm going to the pharmacist, wondering how the heck I can get off of this. That's, I thought I was doing that. And she just recommended that I try half a dose, see how I feel. I was like, no, I just forget this. And I just stopped taking it. And I never had another episode like that since. So I've seen from my own perspective, I've seen from my child's perspective, and it's very frustrating because I'm not going to the medication in my own journey as first line of treatment. That was never what I've done. I do the therapy, I do the exercise, I do the walking. Like I used to be 100 pounds heavier than I am right now. And like I do the work. Like the medication was not a first line treatment for me. I wanted to do the work. So to try the medications and see what they were doing to me, it was not a fun journey because they were my last resort. They weren't my first choice, and they weren't working either. So what do you do then?
Yeah.
And that's
To have
where
that
we ended up.
experience, to have
Yeah,
that experience and then see your child go through it, it must be torturous.
absolutely horrendous. And even my son, at one point, he was medicated as well for anxiety in the same situation. He didn't enjoy being on the medication. He didn't enjoy the way it made him feel. He had tried medication for his ADHD and he didn't like it. He is also benefiting very much from our own version of keto carnivore.
Amazing. Wow. Okay, one more moment from and if the listener wants to go back and listen to 837 episode. 837 was really good. That has the full story. I'm jumping around a lot, not really chronological. The other moment that really stood out to me was the moment that they told you there's nothing else we can do. Let's take a break from this. I don't know. That's got to be like, wait, what? Are
He
you
was
giving up on me?
right.
Like,
She's 11 years old, and you're telling me you don't know what you're going to do with her. And that was infuriating as a parent because this is the brain we're talking about. It's terrifying. We can't see this. It's not like a broken bone where you can set it, cast it, gets better. This is something that nobody has ever really known or given me any kind of insight when I've been posing the questions over my own course of treatment for 20 years. What's causing all of this? I've asked my doctors those questions. Like, well, how come I'm doing all the work and I'm still not feeling any better? How come I did this and now I'm still like this? It's like, why, when you're doing everything right, is everything still going wrong? And I couldn't sit there and just have that doctor tell me that this was it for her at 11 years old. So every spare freaking second that my husband and I had that we weren't managing her, we were scouring the internet looking for any kind of options we could possibly find. And we've said there's, you know what, it's nothing short of spiritual that in the throes of everything we were going through and the exhaustion, we had just finished dealing with her being in a state of mania for 3 days when I had heard on the news that there, somewhere through one of my feeds, that RFK Jr. was having a press conference, and I felt something literally in the pit of my stomach that told me I needed to watch it. I had no idea what was happening in the world outside of my own home because I had no time to look into any of the things. So I had no idea why I wanted to watch this. I had no insight as to what I was getting myself into. And I told my husband I wanted to watch it. And he laughed at me. He's like, why? This isn't something you want to watch. I said, listen, I've had these feelings before in my life. And when I've not listened to them, I've regretted it. Just let's do it. We sat down, we watched that press conference on August 23rd of last year. And when he started talking about the childhood chronic disease epidemic and said to watch Casey and Callie Means on Tucker Carlson, I looked at my husband and I said, we're not going to bed anytime soon. We turned that on and there was no going back. That interview was there was, I couldn't unsee what I seen. And I recommend to everybody to watch that interview if you really want to start to understand where we're at right now in our health crisis and our mental health epidemic and the overall state of what's happening. They put it together so beautifully. And then, of course, I ordered the book and read the book, and that it just went so fast from there. I literally emptied our cupboards. And we have to remember, like, I had lost 80 pounds at this point in time on this journey myself, right? I'd already gotten myself off most of my own medications. I'd doing the therapy. My blood pressure was getting high again, though. And my night sweats were starting, and my hot flashes were coming in hot. And all of things were just not going well for us. I know I hit my own wall at the same time. And when we threw out all those groceries and I went straight to the farm and to the market and brought home not different foods than we were currently eating, I was just changing where I bought them from. And after 7 days, Genevieve needed to come off her afternoon meds. I was sleeping through the night. My hot flashes had stopped. I had no more night sweats. My husband's a morning person. Um, I started losing weight again by the end of the week too. And even Genevieve's moods were not nearly as erratic. I was like, huh, there's no going back. And I just started reading more books. I started, looking at Dr. Hyman's books and like the 10-day detox diets and like Dr. Perlmutter and Dr. Gundry and Ben Bickman. It's like I just start looking at all of the things and I just became obsessed. And that one month of just eating pure whole foods is no doubt what helped us transition so quickly once we got the information from Dr. Palmer, because of course we're watching Dr. Casey Means and she's speaking at the Nutrition Roundtable, and here comes Dr. Palmer with like the best news of our entire lives. And we started that diet, and 3 days later, the noise inside my own head that I've lived with since I can remember, that I've literally talked to I don't know how many times I've talked about it in therapy. It's like I thought that was just there to stay, and it was gone. And she comes into my room hours later to wake up, and she's excited to tell me that that noise and racket inside her head is also gone now too. It's this is literally the paradigm shift that we are all so desperately looking for and searching for, even if we don't even know it yet. There are better ways, and now's the time to roll them out. And these aren't things that you need to wait for policy change to start making these changes at home. And ultimately, it begins with us at home. It doesn't start anywhere else. You can go to a doctor and they can give you these recommendations, but we have to own it. We got to empower ourselves to do it. And that's what I've been doing, is helping people learn. I didn't know. I did not know any better. I did not know any different. I was doing everything I was being told I should be doing. I was doing the right things and nothing was working. And I know that there's other moms out there just like me. And I don't think that we need to wait till we get to a certain point of suffering to have different options offered to us. I think we are at a point now where there's enough lived experiences that I don't think we need to hold on, wait for the evidence to catch up right now. Like let's run with this. Let's help people. Let's share our stories.
Yeah, there's too many Genevieves that need this information, and there's too many Genevieves that have gone through this and have come out the other side. And you're right, the story after story after story, the case studies that are building up are too much.
Absolutely. I said if I ever found my way through this, that I'd spend the rest of my life helping other people never have to do it.
Yeah, that's amazing. I want to talk to you about that. Before I do, this is going to be probably, I don't know, maybe this will be easy to remember. Maybe it's going to be tricky to remember. Nothing was going to stop you, right? You were so motivated. You were going to do the diet come hell or high water. I would bet that, like, even if it was like 6 months of like, oh, this really sucks, I'm still going to power through because you were motivated. You were going to do it. Mama Bear has awoken at this point. Do you remember there being like challenges to the diet? Was it terribly difficult? Was it like, obviously you've done tons of research, but like, was it tough to look up new things? Were you cooking things drastically differently? Like, how challenging do you remember it being?
Well, I've always loved to cook. I've always made my food from scratch. I love being in the kitchen. My love language is food. So I was infuriated when I found out that these homemade, delicious, from scratch foods that I'm feeding my family might be making them sick. And it's not that I was doing it. It's that that's how those foods are processed. It's how those foods are getting to our table, right? Like I had no idea about, the dangers of glyphosate and how much more we're spraying on all of our crops. I had no idea that we have a shared food supply. So I wasn't putting any of these pieces together until I was sitting there watching that Tucker Carlson interview, and I was Googling while Casey and Callie are talking. And it was just like, I didn't need to look outside the walls of my own home to know that this is also our story too. And it was an awakening because I've been looking for these answers my entire life. I've been sick my whole life. I was overweight my whole life. I was asthmatic, I had allergies. I was 180 pounds when I was in like grade 8 or 9. I was 220 pounds when I graduated high school. And it wasn't because I was eating different foods than my siblings who were thin and athletic. It was just because I was insulin resistant. I was metabolically dysfunctioning. And I know that now. And like, how can I not just cry? Right? It's like, I know it's a difficult concept to sit down and talk about the fact that the foods that we are eating that we really feel are nourishing our bodies might not actually be doing that. But once I understood that the tobacco companies fought their way into the food industry in the 90s and then started recrafting all of these foods to become that much more addictive, I was like, man, this isn't my fault. This is literally why I cannot find my way out of this, because even when I'm buying the healthy options and I'm trying to eat well and I'm low carb and whole grain, I'm not doing my body any favors. I'm doing the things I'm being told I should be doing, but I'm not doing anything right. And in putting all the pieces together between how our food is grown, how it ends up here, how our processed foods have been captured, how the nutrition science has been captured, it's like I don't need to wait for the politics to work themselves out here. I like you just need some common sense and some intuition to see that this isn't quite right. And I wasn't going to jeopardize my kids' health because of where the information was coming from. And I hear that all the time. It's like, well, people associate the MAHA movement with Trump and they associate it with Kennedy and they have their own opinions about that. This is not about that. This is about our kids. Our kids don't care. Our kids don't care what we think about those things. I had no idea what was going on in the world when I found this information. I did not care who gave me this information, and nobody else should either. There's currently only one person who's asking the really difficult, hard questions, and he just happens to be asking the questions that helped me save my daughter's life. And I know that I did that because we're currently here in Canada where while they've got it pushed out, they're still looking at expanding our medical assistance in death to include mental illness. And Genevieve and I have had this conversation about MAID. Imagine having a conversation about MAID with your 11-year-old daughter at that point in time, who said to me, if you hadn't have found this, Mom, that's what I would have wanted to do because there's no way I would have wanted to live like this. So we're looking at expanding MAID over exploring metabolic therapies. And I'm not going to be quiet while our kids become victim to this because that's what's happening. So it's become, like I said, an entire awakening because ultimately healing my child just happened to prove to me that the deepest, darkest, dirtiest parts of what I would have thought was conspiracy theories are actually true.
So, okay, I have to make sure we clarify this. MAID, what is MAID? I'm not familiar with this. I want to make sure I understand how serious this is.
MAID is medical assistance in dying. It was typically put in place as a program to help those with, serious diseases causing, irreversible pain. And there's no, people who aren't going to come back from these severe cancers and they're, at the end of life. It was supposed to be compassionate care, but it's not compassionate care anymore when you're starting to expand it to the mentally ill. It's not compassionate care when you're expanding it because of your quality of life, because you just can't do it anymore. And that's where we're at. That's sad and it's scary. And that's not what our kids deserve. Like this generation of kids that's coming up to it, if we don't take this by the reins now and get control of this, that's a dark hole.
I just my stomach is like sinking as I'm realizing like, wait, is she talking about what I think she's talking about? Like that's dark, dark. That's
And
heavy
then imagine
stuff.
having your 11-year-old daughter sit in front of you and tell you that had you have not found metabolic therapies, had you not found RFK, had you not found Casey Means and Chris Palmer, that's what she would have wanted to do because she didn't want to live like that. And her doctors were
Yeah,
telling her that nothing was working at 11 years old.
yeah.
So I didn't care who gave me the information. And I really hope that collectively we can stop fretting about where the information is coming from. Start looking into these things ourselves. Read some books, find some podcasts. Like when they told us during COVID not to do our own research, that was the moment I started. Like,
Wow. Okay, well, that's something I wanted to talk to you about today as well. You've already referenced it. Like when we first chatted a few months ago, you were sharing the message, the one tweet that you'd put out with Genevieve and talking about how all our cells were coming alive again. I'm paraphrasing, obviously, but like that was kind of the beginning of you sharing things. People were finding you. You just had another tweet that you made a few days ago that made me reach out again about the book. I really want
oh,
to talk to you about. But tell me,
that book.
yeah, crazy. Tell me what it's been like, since we last talked about, sharing the message. Do you feel more optimistic, more pessimistic? You created the Better Humans Project to get the message out there alongside Genevieve. How has it been going? Like, what has it been like to, do things like go to your son's high school class and talk to them about these kinds of things?
It's been the experience of a lifetime. Um, I honestly never never thought that I'd be able to share from this perspective. Um, and to be able to talk to these kids, like when I got to go in and talk to my son's class, I didn't really know what to think, right? Because it's a group of high school kids. Here's Noah's mom. What, what are they going to really give you for feedback, right? But they were interested and they were curious and they had questions, and they were coming up to me after the class to ask more personal questions about like specific things that they've got going on with them. Like, have you read anything about how diet could maybe affect this? Like, they're curious. Our kids don't want to be sick. Like, what child wants to be sick? And I couldn't believe it. We were sitting at home that evening after speaking to his class, and we're sitting down having supper, and his phone is dinging, and he starts asking me questions. These are kids from his class that are asking more questions because they want to know answers. And when she has friends over for like her birthday, they're looking at the ingredients on her food because they know that we're eating differently. And they know that because we've changed our food, that Genevieve's not the Genevieve that she was. One of her friends was like, "Hey, Genevieve's mom, we were in grade 3. We were scared of Genevieve." She's like, "It's really cool that all you did was change her food and she got better." They're like, "What's in our food?" I was like, "That's it. That's what inspires me, kiddo. Like, we're not choosing this. We really aren't, right? Like, even if you're going to the store and you're choosing to pick up something quick and convenient, you're still not choosing all that extra crap that's in it. And we don't even know about that, right?" But yeah, it's been quite an experience getting to talk to these kids and getting to talk to people within my community. But that post that I made about that book really ignited a fire that I didn't know that I was having the kind of impact that I was, because throughout this journey, I have lost a lot of people who think that this is crazy and that I've lost it, and that's fine. I promise you, I'm the least crazy I've ever been in my entire life. And to be able to hear from so many people, I couldn't believe it. I found that book at the thrift store. And we'll get into that in a minute because I'll get emotional as I start talking about that. But when I made that post, I had so many people reach out to me. Like, I don't have a whole lot of like interactions on my post and not a whole lot of activity. And I think I'm just annoying my family and friends on my social medias and stuff like that. And then all these moms kind of like came out of the woodwork and they were telling me, like, "Thank you so much for like sharing your story." She's like, "I've been following you on Instagram and my child's been eating a certain way for X number of weeks and I'm seeing massive improvements." Or like, "Your story inspired me to start my child on this." And they're also coming off of their medications. And just hearing these moms come out and tell me that the stuff that I've been doing has been so valuable to them. And then having so many more come to me wanting to know more about these different books and these different strategies and how do they get in contact with different resources, and I'm able to provide that to them. Like, those are all things that I just wish somebody could give me a little inkling of in the beginning of my journey and in the throes of my journey trying to help her. And now I'm able to provide people with answers that are working for them. And it's not that these things are it's not that I'm telling people what I did and they're not, if they give it a try, they're having results, right? It's like every single one of them it's not just one, it's not just two, it's every single person who has adapted any of these strategies that I'm babbling on and on about all the time, about just switch to whole foods, get off the processed foods. I've got people tell me the migraines they've had for 30 years that, no medication could touch, and the neurologist couldn't figure out that all they did was adapt the good energy plan that I told them Casey Means wrote about in her book, and they're gone after days. And I did that just because I let them know. Like, we need the ability to talk to each other and share these stories. And I'm so grateful I've had the opportunity to talk to some of these people who are doing these things. Like, I'm so happy for them. I'm so happy that what we've been through, they're able to take as inspiration and run with it. It's a beautiful thing to be a part of. Um, I'm very grateful that my message is being received um, by more people than just by just the people in my house. Because that's what the Better Humans Project is, right? That's what Genevieve wanted to help create, was like, if more people ate more steak and eggs, we'd all be better humans. And we would, because we are literally building better humans if we, nourish our bodies with good food and surround ourselves with people and just do all the things that make us human. We need each other. We need to sleep. We need to move. We don't need to complicate things. We need to simplify things. And in the simplification of those things and helping people reconnect to that, you end up walking people into their own spiritual awakening a lot of these occasions, because that's what we need. That's what this is. If you don't see a problem with what's happening right now, that's like this is a spiritual crisis. If you don't see it, you're in crisis mode.
I agree. Okay, this is objective science. This has been proven by science. The best TV show ever made is Schitt's Creek. It was made in Canada. It's the best show ever, and I absolutely love it. And if I'm talking to somebody and I'm like, "Hey, have you ever seen Schitt's Creek?" and they're like, "No, what's that? I've never heard of it." I get like so excited because like you haven't seen it yet. Oh, if I could like trade you and like watch it for the first time again, like it would be amazing. You have to watch the show. It's a similar kind of thing where you talk to somebody who's suffering and they're like, "No, what's metabolic psychiatry?" The feeling of like you don't know this yet. You have no idea. This is going to be amazing. Like, just listen to me. It's going to be incredible. It's going to change your entire life.
Yeah. And it does. It does. And I get that for some people, this is a very scary territory and this is an uncomfortable conversation. But it's time to have those uncomfortable conversations, because this isn't getting any better by not having these uncomfortable conversations. And we were talking here the other day about, why do people get so upset when you start talking about the food? And I was like, because people don't understand that these foods have been crafted to be addictive substances. We're addicted to substance that's been disguised as food. So we immediately become defensive about it without understanding why.
On the topic of food, I just made pudding.
Okay, pudding. Are you going off your diet now? You're going back to eating Jello brand pudding?
No, 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 no. I made this.
Okay,
Homemade.
well, you have to tell
What
us
is
about
it?
it now.
So it's made with maple syrup, vanilla, seed butter, cocoa powder, and dairy plain yogurt from the store, which is pretty good.
You better be careful. Your mom kind of stole it from you. Looks like she's going to finish it
I've
awkward.
created my own little foodie.
So what about the artificial dyes? Did you use a cup or two of sugar? Did you put some gluten in there?
No,
How do you continue to feel really good when you eat something like that?
I'll take you to
Well,
school.
that's amazing. Well, you're making me very hungry, I can tell you that.
it's so good. She is really taken. My concept of when I started all this was, I need to teach my kids how to do this themselves. I've always loved cooking food for them and providing as a mom. Like, I take pride in that. I love that. But I wanted to make sure that I taught them how to cook these very basic, simple foods. And that's what it is. It's simple foods, but it's super flavorful foods, right? So I wanted to make sure that they got good and comfortable in the kitchen. And they've always been in the kitchen with me, but they're taking pride in the food that they're eating now. And even the other day, Noah and I were sitting in the kitchen together, and he was making breakfast for me and him because I was getting ready for school. And he says, Mom, I really appreciate when you make food for us. I really do. He says, but I'm really starting to appreciate when I put food together for myself. And he's like putting it all together right pretty in the bowl, doing all the things that I love my food and I want to make it look beautiful and eat it. These weren't new concepts when Dr. Casey was talking about them. I was like, she is speaking my language. And you need to love your food. You need to appreciate your food. And he said that to me. And I started like getting all teared up and welled up in my eyes. I went over, I gave him a great big hug. I was like, oh, buddy, this is the best thing you could have ever given me this morning. He's like, what do you mean? I said, we are literally built from our food, bud. And so many people are not even aware of that, let alone appreciating that. And that to me, like that's where I found my God, was in figuring that out, right? It's like, that's what we're built from. We need to care about it. We need to know where it comes from. It needs to be good for us. And you know that when you go and you visit your farm where you're picking up your beef from, or you go, this past weekend we were out at one of our local homesteaders to see where they grow our greens and to meet our Thanksgiving dinner. And like you got to know where your food comes from. You develop such a love for it, such an appreciation for it. I've always been passionate about food, so this isn't anything new for me to be sitting here being so excited about it. But my level of excitement is it's whole new caliber. Like, I'll stand there at that pasture and look at those cows and be grateful with tears, because I am aware that that grass that fed those cows fed my little girl back to health, brought my whole family to where we're at right now. I literally fed my family back to health by I was out in that pasture. And I love that my kids are appreciating that too, right? Like, and I want to empower other families to do the same thing. And that's what I talk to them about all the time. Anybody who will take any amount of time to talk to me about what we did or what we're doing, this is the version of me they get. They get the excited version. I know it sounds really scary that this is what's happened to our food, but oh my goodness, let me tell you about where I get my beef. Like, let me tell you about the market. Like, I want to encourage people to do this. We don't need to wait for big change. We can do this now.
Amazing. I think, that's so beautiful. And I think incorporating the kids in the kitchen and teaching them those skills, even just to prepare foods and be appreciative of them, is so missed today. Like if I'm talking to somebody about changing their diet and they don't even know how to like cook a simple thing of ground beef in, cast iron skillet, like they don't know. And so I think that's really critical that you're teaching them that and to appreciate that. We have to just hear about this book that you found.
Oh.
Older than both of us.
Older than both of us. Good. Look, I got all the good books.
Yeah, all the good books.
So I found this book at the thrift store. Now, I wasn't even going to stop in at the thrift store. Here's how the universe works. But I needed to use the washroom while I was on my way to pick up my son from practice. And I stopped in and I always scour the books. That's just what I do because I've read a lot of books in the last year. And I think it's probably one of the most expensive habits I've ever had. So I go to the thrift store as often as I can. And this book was like sticking out of the shelf, and I grabbed a hold of it, and I literally felt something. I can't even tell you what it was that I felt. I felt that same feeling. Actually, I can tell you what I felt. It was that same feeling I felt in the pit of my stomach when I told my husband I wanted to watch whatever Bobby Kennedy had to say that day in that press conference. It was that divine intuition that told me that book. And I opened it up and I started reading it, and I started sobbing in the middle of the store, actually sobbing, because 50 years ago, this man wrote this book, putting all of the pieces together that Bobby Kennedy and Casey Means and Dr. Palmer and Georgia Ede and all these doctors are putting it together now. And he had to figure it out 50 years ago. And in the introduction of the book, he talks about how, he's writing this book because pharmaceutical psychiatry and the entire psychiatry paradigm that we know now as our normal paradigm, he knew it didn't work then. He knew that these things were working. He knew that the toxins in our food were creating these things. He knew that malnutrition and lack of light and how we need more protein and we need more fats. Like he knew all these things. He was saying all these things 50 years ago. And I was searching high and low for answers for my kid, and not once did anybody mention anything to me. When we talked about food in any of these meetings, they were talking to me about food dyes long after I had already removed them on my own because I did my own research. And removing the food dyes from her diet didn't do crap for her because she was so out of sorts, right? And no one talks about these things. Like, and to be honest, if I'm making all of my food from scratch, if my kids are having spaghetti and I'm making my marinara from scratch, there's no doctor in the entire world who's going to sit in front of me and think that I was feeding my child crap food. I was feeding my child far better than what would be considered to be the standard American Western diet that we've come to know as our own. Like my kids weren't eating those foods. Like we had like movie nights where I might pick up a couple of bags of chips or something like that. Like they had all their own baked goods. I'm not feeding my children crap food. And he's laying it all out 50 years ago. Pesticides, herbicides, antibiotics, modern medicine, all the things that, oh my goodness, we have to wait for the science, we have to wait for the evidence. He's calling it out 50 years ago. And this book is no longer in publication. The publisher's been closed. I can't find any information on his estate. It's like I found this little gem, and it's beautiful because he's talking about the same things that I'm talking to my husband about wanting to do. He's talking about how he's cooking delicious food in these institutions, and he's sitting with his patients and he's teaching them about the food and how to nourish their bodies and nourish their mind and nourish their spirit. He's talking about all of the things that ultimately Dr. Casey's talking about in Good Energy Now, and that Dr. Palmer's talking about in Brain Energy Now. And I had this moment where it was like, I realized I've been on a ketone high enjoying my family for the last year because I have an entirely new version of my family that I've never had before. When I opened up the cover of this book and I started reading it, it's like, I realized I'm mad because we've known, they've known, but they've chosen to do things differently. And because we've chosen to do things differently, and because all of the systems we've trusted with our health have been captured, our kids are suffering for it. My daughter suffered for it, and she's not alone. And I got mad when I got home and I posted that video while I was reading it after I stopped crying and sobbing, of course. But when you're a mom and you're looking for all the answers and you're doing everything you possibly can to help your kid and nothing's working, and then you realize that it's written about 50 years ago, the things that you implemented after watching a press conference from the one man they're demonizing for asking all these same questions, I got mad. And I posted that video, which just happened to be a couple of days after my daughter posted a video thanking RFK, Casey Means, and Dr. Palmer for saving her life, because they did. And unfortunately, figuring these things out, of course, this conversation becomes political, but we need to look outside the politics on all this and put our feelings about the politics aside for our kids. Our kids do not deserve to wait for us to fight it out. We need to come together now. We need to empower ourselves as parents to make these changes in our homes now. And you don't have to dive in like I did and throw $1,500 worth of groceries out like a crazy lady. Who can afford to do that? I couldn't even afford to do it, but I had nothing to lose and everything to gain. And every little bit that you start in your own home today, nourishing your family with good whole foods and getting them outside for some sunlight first thing in the morning, maybe brushing your teeth on the back deck at nighttime and going for a walk in your backyard, or, just hanging out together, surrounding yourself with good people, eating together, cooking together. We need to come back to these things because these are the things that reconnect us to each other. They reconnect us to our food. They reconnect us to the world around us. And we're living in a society that's gotten so disconnected that we are literally fighting about all of the things instead of coming together to save our children's lives, because that's we were put here as parents to look after those kids. My one job as a mom is to make sure that my kids have everything that they need to be healthy, happy humans. And these industries are not allowing us to do that. But we don't need to wait for them to fight it out. We can do this now. I proved it. My daughter was treatment resistant. I literally changed her food. I started making sure we were getting outside for sunlight every single morning. I was making sure we're going for little walks regularly. I'm making sure we're, dancing it out after supper and stuff, keep our bodies moving, keep our sugars regulated and stuff. Like, I talk to my kids about nature and the importance of like grounding and let's go for these cold. It's like I taught them how to be human all over again. And they deserve that. We all deserve that, because this is a humanity crisis. This isn't about politics. This isn't about left or right. This isn't up or down. This is our kids, and they don't deserve to wait while we fight it out.
I certainly have nothing to add to that.
So yeah, I got mad.
What's the name of the book?
The name of the book is Mental and Elemental Nutrients by Carl Pfeiffer. And I just finished Nina's book, The Big Fat Surprise.
Oh, so good.
Oh, so good. So good. Infuriating, but good.
I was just going to say, how many times did you get just so pissed off reading that?
Oh, listen, do you know how, listen, these books I've been reading this last year are far scarier than any of the, murder mystery books I spent my whole life reading.
Yeah.
I think I told you when I read The Real Anthony Fauci, I had nightmares. My ketones were in the tank. I was a mess. I had to put it down and leave it for like a week or so at a time and then come back to it and then let my body like literally deal with it. I highly recommend people to start doing their own research, do these readings instead of just believing the status quo and believing what you see in a little clip. Go to the full thing, like watch the full interviews, read the book, make your own decision on these things. That's what I did. I've read everything from that to the Monsanto papers and oh man, like just
Yeah.
Once you learn, all you want to do is keep learning. And it's in learning these things and teaching my kids these things, like, yeah, these are scary things, but these are truthful things. And these are things that are detrimental to our health. And I wanted to help my kids understand those things. And are we going to like all of the answers we find in this process when we try to figure out what's going on with our health? No, we are not going to like some of the answers. But unfortunately, finding those answers is the only way out.
Kristina, this one was pretty special. Our last conversation was one of my favorites, and this one was even more special. What just the passion to go through what you've gone through, to see your beautiful daughter, to have her to here to participate with us and answer questions and share her experience, and your righteous anger has been really inspiring, and I've been very close to tears this entire hour, just like I was last time. Thank you. This one was really, really special. If you don't mind, if you could tell the people, of course, people listening and watching, where they can go to find you and connect with you and your work.
So I am trying to become a little more active on X. I'm working on it, but I'm in school and I'm still trying to do all the mom stuff. So bear with me. But I am on X, Kristina Cook, and I'm on Instagram and Facebook under the Better Humans Project. You can find us.
That's awesome. And you are doing school.
I am. Yeah, that this whole journey led me to decide I want to continue this. I want to eventually do the whole metabolic health practitioner path, but in Canada, I need to start with something. And that's something I decided to start with was holistic nutrition. So I'm starting there and oh my gosh, I'm literally showing up for class every day. I get to log in online and it's like Christmas morning for me every day. I am like the picture of everything that you've been through in your life up to this point leads you to where you are right now. I am exactly where I'm supposed to be. I'm going to get emotional again. I tucked Genevieve into bed the other night and I gave her a great big hug. And instead of just telling her goodnight and telling her I love her, I said, "Thank you for teaching me." She said, "Teaching you what?" I said, "Absolutely everything." Because she really did. These kids of mine, they make me so friggin' proud. The stuff she's been through has tested me in ways I never, ever, ever dreamed I'd ever be tested. But it's taught me exactly who I am. And I was put here for this. And I don't know where this path is going to take me, but I know with everything that I am, that what we've gone through and how we've gotten through it, it was for a reason. And the universe works in weird, wild, crazy ways. But this is for the better. And we came to the other side and we're going to talk about it. We're going to share about it. And I'm going to help anybody who wants my help. And those that don't want my help or don't want to hear about this from anybody yet, well, that's okay. We'll be here when you're ready to hear it. Just because you don't want to hear it now doesn't mean I don't want well for you. And I'm really excited for the future of mental health, knowing that this is on the table. This is an option. There's so many people that are so passionate to make this the first line treatment. Like this is what we need. This is what we need to be approached with when we are asking those first questions of what is going on with my kid. Because if someone had told me this then, when I was already at my wit's end to have taken her to the doctor in the first place, I probably would have paid a little more attention to it then too, right? Like I didn't need to wait to start suffering to the point we were to want to try something different. This should be on the table immediately. Imagine that those 16 weeks she stayed in that treatment program. Imagine if they were using a well-formulated ketogenic diet, right?
Totally
And what if we were teaching families at home to cook these foods, right? There's ways we can do this. We can come together. It doesn't need to take a long time. We can do this. This is on us as a community. It's not on the institutions. It's not on the environment. It's on us.
I love that. I was able to get through over an hour without tears, and that's that's over now.
Sorry about your luck.
That's over now. Kristina, incredible. Thank you so very much for everything that you've gone through, and thank you most especially for being willing to do what you said. Share, talk about this, get this out in the open, come together. Not political, just let's get this out there. This has been a really special interview, and I'm so grateful for you and your family. So big hug to Genevieve and big hug to everybody else. And thank you so very much for being on our show today. We really appreciate you.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate being here.
Such an honor. And this has been another episode of Boundless Body Radio.